Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulullah. We continue reading from Imam Al-Ghazali's Jawahir al-Quran, the jewels of the Quran. And the very last surah that we have dealt with was Surah Al-Jum'ah, Friday. And it's about the Friday, from the Friday prayer. And Imam Al-Ghazali, thereafter, he selected 4 verses from Surah Al-Taghabun. So he skipped Surah Al-Munafiqeen, the hypocrites. The hypocrites are, of course, those who are double-faced. They show what they the opposite of what they hide in their hearts. And in the same short, relatively short surah, there is a mention of the imminent and sudden death. It is easier to deal with people when they declare their position, being, for example, non-believers. But there are those who, of course, they would like to play on appearances. That doesn't work with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also informs the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, Imam Ghazali skipped Surah Al-Munafiqeen, and we have 4 verses. In fact, the very first 4 verses of Surah Al-Taghabun. And these 4 verses are: بعد أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الملك وله الحمد يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير هو الذي خلقكم فمنكم كافر ومنكم مؤمن والله بما تعملون بصير خلق السماوات والأرض بالحق وصوركم فأحسن صوركم وإليه المصير يعلم ما في السماوات والأرض ويعلم ما تسرون وما تعلنون والله عليم بذات الصدور. Whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on the earth constantly glorifies Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The kingdom is His, Lahul Mulk, and all praise is for Him, for He is most capable of everything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is omnipotent, and that's because He's omniscient also. Knowledge and ability go hand in hand. He is the one who created you. He is the one who created you, yet some of you are disbelievers, while some are believers. And Allah is all-seeing of what you do. It means also that we have freedom of will. We choose either to believe or disbelieve, despite all the signs in the universe, despite the signs in ourselves. And this is the role of the next verse, verse 3. He created the heavens and the earth for a purpose. He shaped you. He shaped you as fetus in the womb. He shaped you, perfecting your form. In fact, it's very beautiful in the Arabic. وَصَوَّرَكُمْ فَأَحْسَنَ صُوَرَكُمْ. And to Him is the final return. The creation of the universe, the heavens and the earth, for a purpose. It's bilhaq. There is the purpose, as in the question, or the questions rather. Where did we come from? Who we are, where we are heading. Sometimes we ask the question, what's next? I was talking to a friend of mine, an elderly, knowledgeable friend. In his career, he published so many books and other publications about politics. So I asked him today. What's next, in the sense of where we are heading, and of course, in our context in Palestine, it's about all this darkness that we are facing. Uh, there is an unabating genocide that is unfolding. It has been broadcasted all over the world for a whole year. Now it's a little bit more than a year, and many Western governments pay lip service to those who could make a difference. Are paying lip service. So I asked him, "Where are we heading? What's next?" And he said that things will be worse still ahead of us. It's going to be worse. Now, this is about tomorrow, this is about next week, this is about next month, this is about next year. But for us, when we ask here about the purpose of the creation of the heavens and the earth, the universe, we don't speak about what's next in terms of earthly uh, life ultimately. Of course, in this life, we وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the jinn and the human beings to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the concept of worship, if it's a formal worship, it has to follow revelation, both in the Qur'an and also in the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And what is next? The purpose is that you would like to take a path that would lead to the hereafter, to a favorable destination, to paradise. So there is a purpose, of course, and being created in the and having perfecting your form. فأحسن صوركم, perfecting your form, of course, making it beautiful also. حسن, فأحسن. حسن is also entails beauty. There is beauty in the universe. There is beauty of the earth itself, our beautiful blue planet that we are destroying, polluting. And there is beauty in the flora and fauna, all these beautiful plants and all these beautiful animals. So there is beauty, and this universe is at our service to fulfill our vicegerency, but it's our beautiful form, and there's beauty and complexity different from the external beauty. There's beauty in our brains, all these 86 billion neurons. There's something beautiful. The nervous system, there's something beautiful. It is different beauty. It's not something that you will see, but it's something that you will know about. And sometimes there are certain things you see. And verse number 4, He knows whatever is in the heavens and the earth, and He knows whatever you conceal and whatever you reveal. For Allah knows best what is hidden in the heart. Everything that we utter, everything that we think about, everything that we intend. So our intentions and the thoughts and ideas that we think, that we dwell upon, that we contemplate, all of this is known to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What we harbor in our hearts, in our chests, in our breasts, towards others, this is known to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He created us so that we may know each other, all these peoples, the tribes, knowing each other, but ultimately convivencia, لتعارفوا, so that we may know each other, convivencia. That's an Islamic paradigm that exists in Andalusia and elsewhere in the Muslim world. And when we think about that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed on us this beauty, and He availed to us everything in the universe. And that after mentioning all these signs, all these gifts, all these blessings, then we are reminded that everything is known to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are no secrets, nothing. You can hide nothing. You cannot hide your behavior, but at the same time, you cannot also just don't think that what you have in your heart is hidden from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Have the stories of those who disbelieved before you or before not reach you. Didn't they reach you? Didn't you learn about what happened to them? And it's addressing the pagans, the polytheists. They tasted the evil consequences of their doings, and they will suffer a painful punishment. That was because their messengers used to come to them with clear proofs. But they said, well, being sarcastic, mockingly, how can humans be our guides? That's basically humans being our guides. They ask for an angel, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if He sends an angel, then it's going to the angel will take anthropomorphic form. We cannot handle seeing the in general. We cannot handle seeing the angels. And when someone from amongst themselves, like the Prophet ﷺ, a Meccan, known for being, he was known as a trustworthy person throughout his life, and he received revelation at the age of 40. Subhanallah, we don't talk about a teenager, we don't talk about a young person. And as Hercules said to Abu Sufyan, at the time he was not a Muslim yet when he went to Jerusalem. And Hercules asked him a few questions about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Abu Sufyan, despite being at the time a non-believer, he still said the truth about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He did not want, history to record to say that he lied. So he said the truth, and he said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was trustworthy throughout his life of 40 years before revelation. And Hercules said that he would not have abandoned, like he would not invalidate 40 years of saying the truth, and then he would lie to his people, to those about receiving, being chosen as a prophet and receiving revelation. So for the Meccans, when they thought about the Prophet ﷺ, well, many of them knew him as a kid in Mecca, and when he went public after receiving first revelation, it shook him. And I like the statement of an elderly Jewish academic who, in her public lecture, spoke about that first experience. And she said that after really stressing that she was agnostic, meaning that she was not speaking as a Muslim, and not as a believer, but she said that if that story of the Prophet ﷺ receiving first revelation, if that story was the only story of the Prophet about his prophethood, about receiving revelation. She said that if it were the only story, it should have been enough to prove his truthfulness of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Subhanallah. She bears witness to the truthfulness of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam because of the description of what happened to him, and that it shook him, and he went to Lady Khadija anha, and then she took him to her cousin Waraqa bin Nawfal, and she told him, listen to your nephew. Prophet was not his nephew. This is how the Arabs addressed a younger person, Yabna Akhi, and he would address an older person as my uncle, Ammi. Listen to your nephew. And the Prophet ﷺ told him about what he experienced in that first revelation. And Warqa bin Nawfal, who was a monotheist from amongst the remnants of the previous faiths, he told him this is the nomos that was sent to Moses, Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, Prophet Moses. Many other things, but the idea here is he was chosen. He had no choice but to go public. So when he went to near in the vicinity of the Kaaba, and he asked his own people, he asked them, if I tell you that there's an army behind this mountain, would you believe me? And they said yes. They have never known him as someone who would lie. Then he told them that he was chosen as a prophet. This is the moment when many people who were used to the Prophet ﷺ being around them as a youngster, and now obviously they knew what the Prophet meant, and they knew what revealed religion means. It's challenging the status quo in Mecca. It is challenging the status quo in Mecca. It means also that the authorities would lose their privileges. One of their proposals, the Meccans, the polytheists, the pagans, one of their proposals, they offered him all the material goodies. If he were phony, fake prophet, he would have accepted. And they thought that they could offer to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to alternate. So they would worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then their idols would be worshipped. And of course, this is not how things work. The disbelievers claim that they will not be resurrected. Qul, meaning addressing the Prophet ﷺ, yes, by my Lord, you will surely be resurrected. قُلْ بَلَى وَرَبِّي لَتُبْعَثُنَّ. Then you will certainly be informed of what you have done, and that is easy for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the between 1993 and 1996, within these 3 years, I was watching the news in Kuala Lumpur, where I taught at the International Islamic University for 3 years. I was watching the news in the evening, and there was this Chinese leader who passed away, and they have cremated his remains, his body, and he ended up, of course, like a small container of his ashes. The government there arranged for his wife and daughter to fly in a special aeroplane with a small window, small opening in the floor of the aeroplane, and it went over the sea, and they have spread his ashes all over the place. So as I was watching, I have repeated almost the same word here. زعم الذين كفروا ألا يبعثوا. The disbelievers claim that they will not be resurrected. Say, me, O Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, yes, by my Lord, you will surely be resurrected. قل بلى وربي لا تبعثن. This is plural. Okay. The singular, which I have used when I was watching the news, I simply said لا تبعثن. So he was cremated and his ashes were spread out all over the place. And it could be the case that his ashes would end up in the belly of a whale or sardine, and then the sardine will end up in a can, or tuna will end up in a can, and it will be shipped, all over to all places where people consume them. So even when we talk about this kind of spread out, still he will be resurrected. So instead of the plural لَتُبْعَثُنْ, I said لَتُبْعَثَنْ. Nothing else. Nothing else. That's how sure one should be about about resurrection. So we believe in Allah and His Messenger, and in the light we have revealed in the Qur'an, and Allah is all aware of what you do. Consider the day He will gather you. That's where the name of the surah of this chapter was taken. يوم التغابن. And consider the day He will gather you. Will gather you all, of course. For the day of gathering, that will be the day of mutual loss and gain. Mutual loss and gain. We'll get back to this idea in a second, inshallah. So whoever believes in Allah and does good, He will absolve them of their sins and admit them into gardens under which rivers flow, to stay there forever and ever. That is the ultimate triumph. خالدين فيها, eternally. Now back to the day of mutual loss, يوم التغابن. To explain التغابن, to explain the loss. So the disbelievers on the day of judgment will be at a loss for abandoning faith, for dismissing faith, and the believers, what is their loss? It's really not exerting all their effort. So they'll end up in a good place, in a good position on the day in paradise, for example. But their shortcomings about ihsan, the believer will realize that he or she missed a great opportunity to be on the right path and also to do good. Taghabun is the loss. People realize what they have lost. They have lost time, and therefore they have lost certain spaces in terms of the hereafter in paradise. So those who disbelieve will reject the revelation, will be the residents of the fire, staying there forever. What an evil destination, what the worst destination. وبئس المصير. No calamity befalls anyone, of course, except by Allah's will, and whoever has faith in Allah, He will rightly guide their hearts through adversity, and Allah has perfect knowledge of all things. Do obey Allah and obey the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But if you turn away, then our Messenger's duty is only to deliver the message clearly. That's it's not up to him, and ultimately you are free. Allah, there is no God worthy of worship except Him. Allahu la ilaha illahu. So there's no God except Him, but the meaning is that worship is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in Allah, let the believers put their trust. It's not that you put your trust in certain Western governments. You should be independent, and you should have all the things that will make sure that you are independent. And nothing stops evil like power. This is not against anyone. The idea is that inasmuch as within the society, you don't depend on preachers and ethicists to preach to the people so that they will abandon all the evil things. You need to have the law, and you need to have the executive branch should show strength so that the criminals would stop it. The same thing between the not individuals now, it's between states. The idea is that the same thing in order to stop the other states from bullying your own, from occupying yours, from destroying your resources, from for your resources, oil for peanuts. It is cheaper than bottled water sometimes. So the idea is do not depend on people. Do not depend on material sources. Your dependence, your trust should be put in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there is warning. That the one's spouses and children could be enemies. So you need to take care and to be simply so beware of them. But if you pardon, overlook, and forgive their faults, then Allah is truly all forgiving, most merciful. وَإِن تَعْفُوا وَتَصْفَحُوا وَتَغْفِرُوا فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Yes. So there's a call for forgiveness. And what is life without forgiveness? We talk about within the same family, even with the extended family, with neighbors, with colleagues, with just simply intend to do good, and never ever backbite against your neighbors or colleagues, or your monies and your children are only a test. إنما أموالكم وأولادكم فتنة والله عنده أجر عظيم. So be mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the best of your ability. Hear and obey, and spend in charity. That would be the best thing for you. And whoever is saved from the selfishness of their own souls, it is they who are truly successful. And this is the verse before the last. إن تقرضوا الله قرضا حسنا يضاعفه لكم ويغفر لكم والله شكور حليم. If you lend to Allah a good loan, He will multiply it for you and forgive you, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is most appreciative, most forbearing. عالم الغيب والشهادة العزيز الحكيم. One last thought about this verse about the loan. Imagine it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who provides for you. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who grants you health and wealth and offspring and spouses and a place to dwell and all the things that you have. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you all this money, okay? He enables you. He opens opportunities for you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all this money that you have, and some people do have plenty of money, if you spend for the path, on the path of, you give the needy, you give those who are in need, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that this is a good loan. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you, provides for you, enables you, enriches you, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala considers this a loan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards you for giving the zakah, the regular alms giving, the 2.5% on cash. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards you for something that He gave you. Just think about it. And do not don't be a miser. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will multiply what you give, and don't be worried about sustenance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Imam Hassan al-Basri enumerated he counted some 90 verses in the Qur'an that speak about rizq, about sustenance, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is assuring us of sustenance. And Satan is using the word poverty. So Satan says you'll get poor if you do this, you'll get poor if you pay this, you'll get poor. So 90 verses about sustenance in the Quran versus one verse only where al-faqr, poverty, is mentioned. So I leave you with this thought, and inshallah we'll read in the next session from Surah At-Talaq. It's one verse only. So inshallah until then, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.